frequently awkward and avoided. Those responding to the griever often experience the feeling we have when put on the spot. We don't know what to say. Our minds go blank. And in an effort to say something, a sort of mumbo-jumbo bursts out of our mouths. When our ears actually hear what was said, we want to crawl under a chair and hide. In embarrassment, we're thinking, that wasn't what I meant to say. Not everyone is familiar with the grief process experienced after a loss. Some people interpret continued sadness and depression as weakness or lack of faith. Because of this misunderstanding, grieving parents are susceptible to abrasive and flippant remarks. At other times, responders are simply indifferent or evasive. As a result of those insensitive reactions, sorrowing parents sometimes find it easier to deny their feelings or to suffer in private. Blunders made by medical personnel. In talking with women who had experienced pregnancy loss, I heard about many reactions they received from others. Some were positive. Unfortunately, many were negative. Often, the insensitive remarks began in the doctor's office at the signs of impending loss. Communication with medical personnel was sometimes strained and artificial. Donna shares her experience in these words. My miscarriage started around 4 p.m., and by 4:30 p.m., I was hemorrhaging profusely. In that hour, I called 5 times to talk to the doctor, only to be told that my call would be returned. I never received that call. My husband came home from work, and there I was crying frantically, half-dressed, with blood everywhere. I felt stripped of all self-worth and demoralized. I tried my best to gather the remains of our baby in a container, and we left for the hospital. I temporarily regained composure, but then fell apart when handing the remains of our baby to the doctor. Anguish tore me apart as the nurse ushered me back to a small room. I was still bleeding heavily as the nurse fit me into stirrups on the table. I lay there with tears streaming down my face. Then, in a cold, know-it-all voice, the nurse said, Honey, I've had 3 of these. You'll get through it. In fact, I was glad about my last miscarriage because we didn't want more children anyway. That was it. No sympathetic comments such as, I'm sorry you lost your baby, or this must be very disappointing for you. Only cold and calculated remarks that said in essence, don't sweat it. It's no big deal. Other women have suffered from similar insensitivities. Doctors often respond with avoidance or with a Band-Aid approach. For example, suggesting to the couple that they forget it happened and to get pregnant as soon as possible. Several women said, when my doctor told me I had lost the baby, he didn't even look me in the eye. He looked at the wall instead. Another friend said, once my doctor detected there wasn't a heartbeat from the baby. He left the room and never returned. I think he found some excuse to flee so he wouldn't have to face me. I felt like I had committed a crime. I came across several stories where other doctors had retreated from the scene of the crime. Perhaps this withdrawal is used as a coping mechanism for feelings of failure and remorse over a patient's unsuccessful pregnancy. They may not know how to approach the patient. It helps to remember that a doctor is a human being with strengths and weaknesses like everyone else. More often than not, the obstetrician has been trained strictly in physical disorders. Grief counseling classes and training concerning emotional problems are generally not included in the physician's education. Regardless of the credentials behind a doctor's name, dealing with death and trauma can be as awkward and uncomfortable for him as it is for any other person. Because of this, it is of utmost importance that the mother who has suffered a loss find a doctor and medical staff who can relate to her needs. It is the woman's responsibility and privilege to screen and choose a doctor she feels can relate to her as a person, not just as another name on the list. I was fortunate to have had the excellent care of Dr. Peterson and his staff during my trauma. Sharon, the nurse running the ultrasound device, was the first to tell me that she couldn't register a heartbeat. She was honest and didn't inspire false hope. As my tears fell in her presence, she showed a great deal of compassion, saying, "We live in a fallen world, and sometimes things we can't explain come our way. I'm sorry for you."